So that way people who are watching now can have a view of us leaning our noses up against this, this is people over 50 trying to get on Facebook. It's not that we don't know what we're doing, it's just, we have to read the screen and
Do 17 things at once. It's very difficult.
yeah, up to my readers and people over 50 trying to get on Facebook.
Oh,
It's
oh,
not
that's
that we
you.
just
That sounds great.
read the screen and
17 things at once. It's very difficult.
yeah, to my readers. If I talk,
That sounds great.
in the screen.
17 things at once. It's very difficult.
I should talk to the viewer. I'll talk to the viewer while people share. And then sharing.
Viewer.
Well, hello, viewer. What we're doing is we're doing a demonstration of old people getting onto Zoom and sharing it on their Facebook. So I'll introduce them, Chuck. Viewer, what we're doing is we're doing a demonstration of old people getting onto Zoom and sharing it on their Facebook.
So do you see a viewer already? Oh, fun.
So, us, some of you are viewers, I believe.
All right, I shared. I'm ready for camera. I'm ready.
I'm going to pretend I'm ready.
Here in Hollywood. Hello, everyone. Mary Kennedy reporting live from a basement in Van Nuys, California.
Right. So
I'm ready for camera. I'm ready.
Your end will need to mute.
Here in Hollywood. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's hard to hear my voice. I'm
Or
talking
we have all of us in the loop.
a basement in Van Nuys, okay.
I don't know. It could be me. It could very well be me.
Do you have it on your phone? Hello, everyone. Oh, you got my voice.
I'm sharing. I shared on my personal now. I gotta share it on.
Do you have it on your phone?
Yes, I have it on my phone. Yes, yes, I have it on my phone.
What do the kids? What do the kids say? I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
No, I mean we're getting out there, and that's all that matters. It's about. Oh, here it is. I see us. Oh, that's fun. We're live.
Somebody is playing the video.
Oh, I see us. Yeah, I'm gonna shut it off though because I'll screw it up. No, I mean we're getting out there. We're here. Okay. Oh, here it is. I see us. Oh, that's fun. You know what? This is kind of like one of those commercials where don't turn into your parents. That's how I feel.
Oh, yes.
It's exactly like that. Exactly. And then this is how it is. There's a group of people who are too impatient for this, so they need all of this to have been set up like that. They never do this, like looking at the screen, but I call bullshit because I teach virtually and I see 20-somethings doing.
Is there any way you can mute your playback? I might have a stroke.
Right, so I'm not sure that that's me. I don't know how to mute it.
All right, let's see. I'm going to mute me. Let's see if it goes away.
Oh, nice. That's
who did that?
Oh, I feel so much better.
Right, someone out there. Okay, yeah, we get so now we're in the space. This is what these things should feel like. And then Mary, I'm really glad it's you, and then Juliana, because I was And Charlene, great to connect you. But I'm gonna begin the slide presentation, which just takes me back to like our days doing Apocalypse, which was like my pandemic solution to, I wanted to perform. I got it. People were like, well, there's no audience. And
Great. No, I loved it.
I was like, yeah, like there is no audience, and hence like I'm gonna find a way to perform. And
Mike Langworthy and his quips. I enjoy them.
So funny. He was just so goddamn funny. And I wonder, like, it's been so long since I've done this. I have no idea what we're streaming on YouTube. Hopefully it could just be the logo. That's the goal. But hopefully maybe even getting to the point where we could see Mary. And then we'll have a conversation and promote Mary's show.
There we are.
Look at that.
Watching on the YouTube. There's the address. We did that successfully. And
I like that. I like that.
Promoting Mary's show. And at some point, I think I remember how to do cameras, but we should just chill in the green room.
I like that.
That looks like a private jet. Is that what we're taking?
That's this was the green room for the Apocalypse. We call it Colorado Comedy Shows Force One, or
Force One.
And then I thought, this is, if we're gonna have a green rooms in the middle of a pandemic, then it's might as well be this.
Yeah. Amazing.
And Mike would set the tone on riffing, and then we'd just be ready to say go live.
And I love the in-flight entertainment. I've never been in-flight entertainment.
Right? I'm glad you like it. And then, I like to clap, like you're coming on board. Yay, it's you. And then you'll be landing soon in the Denver. What's that? Next week, you're going to be.
Yes.
This is you at DIA. And then you'll take our tour bus, not to Limon. I couldn't get you the booking, and you might have probably heard of Limon more than you ever heard of Denver. Denver is just a global city, but Lyman is, I think, a universal paradise. I think when there's first contact, it's going to be people from another planet who are like, finally, Lyman. That's why I have property there, and also because I believe in global warming, and I'm assuming Lyman is going to be like beachfront at some point.
And there's the Denver mountains.
Yeah, those are the Rockies. You're in the foothills. You can't expect like the Rockies to be right in the middle of downtown. That's not how downtowns work or how the Rockies work. But you'll see them from the heart of downtown, and then you'll meet Gladys, who's the inspiration for me going, we should produce a show. And then Gladys was like, duh, it's about time. You have at least one good idea a year, Chuck Roy, and good for you. And so Gladys is our cashier. She had menopause back when there was a different Kennedy who was a household name.
She does. She looks a little bit like the Betty Ford era. What do you think?
Right. And so, Mary, I want to find out like what I have no idea what I'm streaming on what they call the YouTube, because I was panicked about it. It was, what if it was me making all like playing the playback and causing everyone such concern. Oh, there's my campus email. That should help. But while I check to figure out what it is we're streaming, in fact, may I please ask you to tell us about your awesome show, and then I should introduce me to Charlene, and then Juliana, of course. Juliana's with us, so.
Yeah, so hello Denver. This is my third time to Denver. I'm very excited. We are bringing Midlife Mood Swing to the King's Recital Hall through the Community College of Denver. We will be there Thursday, the 28th and Friday, the 29th.
What is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productive.
There you go. People are getting excited. And it's directed by Charlene Ward, who is here. And Chuck Roy is producing it, and with Colorado Comedy Shows, and Juliana is our amazing PR person. And I wish Juliana was here stateside, but she's not. She's in a far, far away land. But Charlene and Chuck will also be doing some stand-up before I hit the stage. So they will both do some stand-up, and Charlene and Chuck and I are all from New England. So
Yeah.
we will talk about being from New England and you know, maybe Old Orchard Beach and getting our pocketbook and going to the Shaws. I mean, there could be lots of things that we talk about, Red Sox, Patriots, but then we can't be too Boston, because we probably should talk about the Denver Broncos, don't you think? So, but yes, so Midlife Mood Swing is my story of motherhood and marriage and menopause and mood swings. And it's also about being a roadie in my mother's band back in the 80s called Midlife Mood Swing. And no, her band was not called Midlife Mood Swing. See, menopause, Charlene. It was called The Mood Swings. The Mood Swings. And my show is called Midlife Mood Swing. Charlene, do you want to add anything else as the director?
Yeah, actually, this is great. We started this years ago, and we played at the Marblehead Little Theater in Massachusetts when it was almost a completely different play in a way. It was about Mary's mother, and then she decided to kind of morph it into something more about herself, but we wanted to keep the integrity of the part of the play that was about her mother, because it's so good. So we just added in songs, we added in all sorts of good stuff. So it's completely an evolving show. Like it's different than when it started. I think it's kind of finding its groove. It's great.
Yeah, it's been fun. And I right now am currently perimenopause. So I'm in perimenopausal, which means I will be irritated for the next 15 years. No, I am perimenopausal. So I created a page on Facebook. Shout out to our Midlife Mood Swingers for women to go through menopause. And Charlene, you didn't know, but there are actually men reaching out to me who are married to people who are going through menopause who need help.
So I am beyond the menopause, and I'm still irritable, and
so there are, you know,
I have perimenopause, and it's just it means I watch him on 90210 rerun.
Nice.
Yeah, or Perry Melrose, but yeah, but no, basically, so it does appeal to men as well. I do talk about long-term marriage and being the mother of 2 teenagers. I also talk about LGBTQIA stuff, which is really important. What else? I talk about losing my keys throughout the show. I talk about what it was like to be a teen in the 80s, which is different than today, because I actually had a phone that was attached to the wall, not my ear. And there was no millennials back then, Charlene.
No, none at all. Not even the millennial Falcon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go. There was no, but this show is also important to millennials, because everyone, you will get here, whether you like it or not, you will get to midlife. And, you know, and Juliana has been writing some really great articles about what to expect in menopause and midlife, and that it isn't you know, we do say that it's hard and it's a lot, but it's also a journey. And I think we are doing it through laughter, or else I'd probably cry. So so Juliana, what kind of articles have you been writing? They're really good, actually. Why don't you tell everyone?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Juliana Heng from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I'm basically working on the opposite end of the world, so making it 9:54 a.m. right now. Yeah, the next day. Yeah. So the two articles I work on in conjunction with Mary's show. One is how to navigate menopause with grace and humor. And the second one is the role women play in shaping the world of stand-up comedy.
So we're talking on LinkedIn about the role of women in stand-up comedy. We're talking about menopause. Talking is why I wanted to do this show, because Mary, you're talking about something that women don't talk about. And Charlene, we're sort of new to knowing each other, but welcome to my wheelhouse. If there's something the audience doesn't want said and joked about, will allow me to introduce a wicked gay stand-up comedian from New Hampshire who's been telling wicked gay jokes since 1992, when audiences just maybe didn't want to hear that sort of thing. And so anytime I see a show where I'm like, okay, what? We're not talking about menopause. I understand why. I immediately get it and immediately think, yeah, comedy show, probably going to need one of those so we can laugh about whatever's uncomfortable. So what do what should I be looking for here when I'm going to watch people laugh? I'm going to see what jokes make them laugh, and I'm looking for the ones that just really like relieve the steam of a woman going through this and going like, finally, somebody's talking about it and I'm laughing about it.
Well, so for instance, right now what I'm battling with is memory loss. And I'm not
believe you remember the question.
I know. I'm not kidding. I mean, like today perfect example, I went to the pharmacy and picked up medication for my daughter and my husband, and I had absolutely no idea where it was put. I had no idea where I put it. And medicine is expensive. And I searched all over high and wide, all over the place. And wouldn't you know it, it was in my car.
Oh, no.
It was in a bag in the car, in the back seat of the car. But I don't remember putting it there. I maybe don't even remember buying it. But that's what I'm saying. It's sort of, it kind of taps you on the shoulder and goes, hello. Like, I don't know. And then you constantly, I don't know if you do this, Charlene, I'm constantly going, oh my God, like, this is the way my life's going to be for the rest of my life? Am I like going to not remember? Like, and then the thing, I lose my keys all the time. I lose my keys and my wallet and my glasses. And I have a joke about that. So I don't know. I mean, go ahead, Charlene. And then
right before this, I was like, okay, I got to go put on a different shirt. Cause I spill my food like Cookie Monster all over the front of me. So I was like, I need another shirt so I can look presentable for this event, this YouTube event. Hi, YouTube Live. And then I went into the linen closet and I went, what am I looking for? I was like, the shirts aren't in here at all.
Yeah. And so
I'm a 3XL, so that's where I keep my shirts.
Right. Yeah. Well, same. Chuck, you and I can share clothing.
Oh, that's terrific. I'd love to wear your Pelham High shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Go Blue Devils. Sorry.
But I mean, Chuck, are you having memory stuff? I mean, I know you're a man and not necessarily going through menopause, but.
No, I smoke a shit ton of weed, so
that'll do it too.
You're relaxed when you're not remembering. That's good.
I'm having other, 50-year-old stuff, and I got no complaints, very joyful, no problem with my age. I don't need to feel like I need to prove to be youthful. I'm still enjoying a bedroom that's rather youthful, so It's and that part is the rock and roll of comedy. I refuse to like be one of those acts who's like, I was on TV in my 20s and now I have no idea what to do in my 50s to maintain cool. The thing to do is just quit being cool. You're fucking 50. And,
Yeah.
own what you've done, and then I don't like in the classroom. That's a 20-something experience or 50-year-olds, and I'm not trying to figure out what they're watching on TikTok. I drop references from another century, and I'm like, I'm so glad we're doing this type of show because it's like the screen is full of women. We're talking about something can't make jokes about, but to the people who buy tickets to my stuff or have heard of my shows, they know I like to host a good thing or produce a fun show. And hopefully they're seeing like, yeah, this the direction I'd like to see him go in. Is like getting something like this talked about. So like, why don't people talk about menopause? And then I'll talk about like what men do when I bring up this show. But why don't women talk about menopause?
So there's a line in my show where I say, I basically talk about 3 generations of women. Four generations. My grandmothers, my mother, me, and my daughter. Basically, my mother, my Nana Ann, her mother, and my grandma Nora, my father's mother, never talked about menopause. They called it the change. It was the change. None of us knew what the change was, but we knew it was coming. It was this and it was in hushed tones. They talked about the change and cancer in the same, hushed tones.
Right.
And so for me as a kid growing up, I literally thought the change could be cancer. So was it like, was I, when I turned 50, was I also going to get cancer? I mean, that's, I think I kind of that way. And so I was relieved when I realized that wasn't the case. But, my mother didn't talk about it, and my mother didn't talk about necessarily getting your period, like that kind of stuff,
Yep.
Charlene, do you want to talk about that?
Well, no, it's just like you think about it. It's any female issues, at least when I was growing up, you weren't supposed to tell boys about the period. No wonder guys don't know anything about it.
Oh, you separated.
Yes.
You have to.
Don't talk about it. And they called it horrible, like, oh, Aunt Flo is coming to visit, stuff like that. They
my friend.
Yeah, my aunt used to call it being on the rag. And then I'm young, I'm 6 years old, and I see tampons in the bathroom, and I asked my mother, what's this? But I was too young to know about it, so I was told they were cigars.
Wow.
So I mean, you think about it, if we're not encouraged to talk about it, and I feel like this generation, like Gen Z, maybe not so much millennials, but Gen Z especially, they can talk about whatever they want. They used to have these commercials where you're not feeling very fresh and 2 women were like running into each other's arms in a meadow of flowers, and no one knew what the hell that commercial was for. But now
I knew what that was.
No, yeah, I had no idea. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty nice. I didn't know it was about a douche.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like you have now a whole generation of women coming up talking about their periods. Now they can talk about menopause, and it's not such a taboo subject. But like you're saying, Mary, your mother never taught. My mother didn't teach me anything, and now she's dead, and I have to kind of navigate.
Well, and I talk about that in my show. I have no one. My mom has passed, so I go to my friends. I go to Charlene. I talk to my friends. What were you going to say, Chuck?
It's generational, and it's also by location, the culture where the three of us are collectively from. So I want to ask Juliana about her culture and its approach to, say, talking about the change, or you know, things I read about in a Judy Blume book that still don't want to talk about. And I'll get the word patriarchal out there, and then we can come back if I want to be academic. So Juliana, what is it like culturally in your youth to today, talking about women's issues, simple biological things like a period or menopause?
Okay, so for today's kids, namely the Gen Z, which is, I think, a generation after me. I'm actually a millennial. So today's kids they are actually born with an iPad, you know. So the moment they start to, like, before the parents can even talk to them about it, let's say even in Asia, there's a taboo on don't talk about this, you know, but they can always look up on the internet. That is their new friend, you know. So there's nothing stopping them to explore a topic they want to talk about. So even nowadays, I saw parents brought their kids to comedy shows. And I always tell them that as long as the parents are okay, they know that their children is getting an education, they are under supervision, then it's cool. Because some parents, they are very aware. They say that even if I don't talk about it, my kid will eventually find out. So might as well let them learn early. So I've seen some young kids, of course, it irks some comedians because no kids. But for me, I'm cool as long as the parent is responsible about it. Yeah.
So what about as a youth, Juliana? We never get to talk about this, say, during comedy shows. What is your youth and neighborhood like? Because I know, tell them, for example, where Charlene is, I've driven those country roads. It's rural New England, and into elite New England, and then historic United States. Where the Mayflower landed is where like a field trip we take. So what is your youth like, Juliana? Where are you growing up, and how did you even find out about a period?
All right. So I grew up in a small town. I mean, I wouldn't say now it has evolved, of course, but then behind me is actually a wet market. So basically, I've been listening to a lot of people shouting, okay, fruits, fish, meat, you know. Yeah, so that is where I grew up, which is fun. But of course, nobody talks about period, and I'm actually non-binary, but I don't know that time that I was non-binary. So I thought that I'm just one of the boys in the neighborhood. Yeah, you know, just playing around. And then until the day come, you know, where I have my first period. And that time nobody talks to me about it. And our school only taught biology when I'm 16 years old. So it's 2 years of delay, you know, like to even at least know what a period is. So I remember that time, and I was watching a lot of CSI, you know. So I thought that, a crime scene!
No.
That's what I thought, you know, when I had my first period.
Yeah.
Incredible story. And like, I'm glad we're doing this, because like Mary, I don't know how many shows you've done with Juliana, but this is not like what we do when we're doing a Zoom comedy show. And so we got real personal there. Mary, what I hear, there's songs that I see the chatter on Facebook. People love the songs. Why songs from a comedian? In other words, is your singing that funny? Sorry.
Well, yeah, no. My mother had a band, right? My mom had an 80s wedding band. Do you remember King's Grant on Route 1 in Danvers, Massachusetts? Do you remember the Medieval Hotel?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. So my mom's band, Betty's band, Betty Kennedy's band, was the house wedding band at King's Grant. So my mom played covers of all those 80s songs. Hit Me With Your Best Shot, you know, Centerfold by the J. Giles band. That was a processional for one of the weddings. Like, my mom played it all. Last Dance, What's New by Linda Ronstadt, Barbara, People. I mean, my mother played it all. And so we sing songs in this show. We do some parody songs. We do a parody song of My Favorite Things, which you'll have to come see the show. And then we also have an homage to Petula Clark for her first song, Downtown. And then, my mom, when my mom got divorced, now my mom was Irish Catholic. She worked as a church organist. She wasn't supposed to get divorced, but remember, my mom also came out of the closet at 55. So there's a whole thing. You'll hear about that in the show. But my mom had a soundtrack when she got divorced for my father when she dropped us off in Beverly for visitation. And so she would sing out of her car, like Love Will Keep Us Together by Captain and Tennille. She changed the song You're So Vain to You're So Vain. You probably think this divorce is about you, Charlene. And then, when she finally got out of the divorce, I Will Survive. So I grew up with those songs. And so I sing throughout the show. Like I do little nostalgic lines of music.
And so, I'm picturing where your mother sang. So for the comedy fans from this is on Colorado comedy shows where a lot of people probably got to know Juliana and Mary through the shows we used to stream or doing things like open mic. Route 1 is one of those neon sign like motel routes that is forced to keep modernizing, and it's north of Boston and very thick. You almost want to call them suburbs, but they're their own cities by population. And so a lot of people and restaurants that have 500-seat function rooms, mostly because of the wedding business, right? And just getting together. You have Italian populations, Irish populations, Polish, French, Canadian. You're going back to like in a space where, say, people might have lived in more ethnic neighborhoods and closer to their family. So there's a lot of need for 500-seat function rooms, and some of them became legendary comedy clubs. So Nick's Comedy Stop is on Route 1, where they would be doing in the 80s or early 90s 4 or 5 shows a night in a 500-seat function room, going back and forth from function room to function room. And then Lenny Clark's brother has Giggles, just a legendary comedy club where I've off-camera stories to tell. They involve like mobsters, and I shouldn't have even said that. I'm so stupid.
Well, but my mother played at Prince's Pizza, which is part of that. And so, my mother did a wedding in Salem. She did a witch wedding for Lori Kavitz. I think.
Oh God. Yeah. So I want to get back to the region, and maybe one of the reasons why someone like your mother or you and Charlene, your ages, your neighborhoods. So we are talking like the Puritan. When they say you use the word puritanical to mean like well beyond conservative, like I'll burn you at the stake for talking about your period, you witch. Like that mentality to me still exists within, say, lots of the cultures that are around New England. And I was wondering, as we were talking about different generations, like, well, it's going to be okay for rural and like New England to just have people talk about their period, and we won't have to look back on the old days. Like, remember when we wouldn't talk about menopause? Like, will New England ever, will the market basket remain open if we're talking about menopause comfortably?
But you know what's interesting? We were at Off Cabot, which is through Laugh Boston, John Tobin.
Door guy when I first performed. He was a door guy, and he's
Wow.
now like the comedy magnate who is
Yeah.
probably going to buy everybody.
Yeah. But Jackie over at Off Cabot was amazing
Oh, yeah.
because she gave us such a voice and also told everybody this isn't a typical headliner stand-up situation. But do you know how many women came up to me? We had women coming from Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, Boston, Vermont, I think. We had, you know, Salem. I had women in the audience from Salem and Danvers, the place of the witch trials. They were so happy that we came and brought it up because they were so glad that they didn't feel like they were alone in this. So
and those cultures and women of that age and say size, they have an ability to really put some air in their lungs and push it out when they're laughing and roaring and laughter together. So that's, you know, what I look for. I remember my early days of playing like Knights of Columbus Holes, and it's like a, you know, all Irish Catholic or all Italian sort of audience. And I'm a young fat kid, so I could just easily say to the Italian women in the group, "Oh, you want to feed me?" And they'd be all like, "Ah, ah!" and hitting each other. And it's years later, it's a cheap joke, but you're relieving the steam. You're like hitting the nail on the head. You're making them go like, "How did he know we all want to feed him?" And it's just like, it's a room full of Italian women from north of Boston. That's never been a thing that they didn't want to do. You know, but I live for that, say, big, boisterous laugh. And so are you feeling like you're getting those that, like, oh my God, you know, somebody's finally talking about it and I'm laughing about it.
Darlene was in the audience for a show in LA. What did you feel? Because you were, you know, when you're on stage, I'm really good about hearing it, but you were sitting in the audience. So what did you hear?
Oh, yeah. In LA, yeah, they loved it. I mean, the great thing about this show, because it's a solo show, is, you know, you get the big laughs, but you also get the nice little quiet moments where people can, you know, really kind of reflect. There were people like who were crying during parts of the show and laughing. So it's really a nice, it's a nice balance. So it's not a bummer show at all. But you've got some nice quiet moments, which, again, going back to Off Cabot and Beverly, they were so good about letting the audience know that it wasn't just a comedy show, that it was a theater piece, that there were going to be quiet moments. And we sold out in Beverly.
I'm sorry,
one
say
of the
that
nights,
again.
and
Sorry, what was that?
we
One more time.
Okay, we sold out in Beverly one of the nights, and
it didn't quite come through.
we sold out in Beverly.
And in Los Angeles.
We're being so serious.
I'll
You're having success on the road. I want to make certain you celebrate it and
Los Angeles, but hopefully Denver.
Oh yeah, but let me tell you, the audience in it's telling me my internet connection is unstable, so in case I'm frozen, but the audience in right unstable, but my point is the audience in Beverly ranged from like early 20s to 80s. There were people in the audience who were in their 80s, and there were people in the audience who were in their early 20s, and everyone loved it. It was, you know, everybody related to it in some way.
People like to go out. Right? Guys like to go out, and it's maybe back to, say, the neighborhoods where we're from, where, you know, like the woman has to defer to the man on what we pick. And so as event producers, we're like, I don't know, it's a show about a lot of women. I don't know. There's more women in the United States than there are men. Women control the pocketbooks in more households than men. I don't think I strayed too far here in the imaginable territory of let's produce a show at a college theater, pretty much in the heart of downtown. It's the reason I want to do this, Charlene, is because it's a recital hall. We have at the Community College of Denver like a black box theater, which we certainly could have put you in, but because of what I was seeing y'all do at like Wildfire and the other spaces, I was like, why don't you, if we're gonna have a Kennedy, let's use the Pretty Theater. And I can't wait. I think it's gonna go over really well. I really hope you enjoy the space and the process of making it your own and putting the show on. And you're like the city part, you're just a couple blocks from the hotel. People are a couple blocks from grabbing dinner at any of the best restaurants in the city. Are within,
Nice.
you know, if you got to a $4 Uber, a $7 Uber, you're right in the heart of downtown on the Auraria campus at the King Center Recital Hall, March 28 and 29. So that's next Thursday and Friday, and tickets are selling. I think we're gonna have a nice audience, and we're doing a pretty good job of telling them, hey, I don't think there's any expectation that this is a stand-up comedy show. I think people know because it's at the Recital Hall Theater that it's more theatrical. But it's fun to hear you explain why that worked at Cabot.
Yeah, and it's you know, we had two different audiences at Whitefire. Like we did it in 2023 and we did it just recently. And I don't know if you noticed this, Charlene, we had a lot of men this time. And it was nice to see all the men. And they, you know, we had a lot of, because I do, to go back to what Juliana was saying, I do talk about being a parent with my husband. You know, we've been married, it'll be 21 years on March 22nd. So I'll be married 21 years when you see me. And, you know, we have a non-binary child who's figuring out if they're trans or not. And so we do address marriage and raising teenagers. And then we have a son who's autistic, who, you know, sees everything in black and white, who's also, he's done 3 stand-up sets. He's very funny.
Oh, wow. I can imagine.
But, you know, I also address that, like, and then, you know, I'm an older parent. Like my mom was 22 when she had me. I was 34 when I had Ruben, who was originally Rebecca. And it's a whole different world for older parents. So I also address long-term marriage, you know, being an older parent, college, you know, and it's not like, I just think in a funny way. And it's a quick show. I mean, I have you guys doing stand-up and then I do maybe 50 to 54 minutes on stage. It's a quick ride, letting people know that they're not alone. I want people to know that. And especially women who are going through this change in quotes, because, you know, I think, and I want to sort of talk about how we started it, was I had friends going through surgery with women issues that were not feeling okay about talking to their friends about it because they thought it was a burden. And I had a friend, a couple friends actually go through surgery without support. And that's when I talked to this person like on a Thursday, and by Saturday, I had like about 1,000 women on this page on Midlife Mood Swing. So, you know, people need to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's what I've been following you share, because we're, say, personally friends on the Facebook. And then as we were talking, I was thinking about how we looked when we were scrambling to get on, you know, with each one of us with our face going, you know, like, am I tweeting right? And then to where we've gotten to as far as the conversation goes, you know, I feel like this is what the new old people sound like. You know, they're like pretty soon people are going to figure out like, oh, we all get old, you know, and we often can be in our 20s going like, I'm invincible and I don't care about old people stuff. But I don't think that can be said of, say, America's current population. There are going to be people in their 20s who are like, I just want to go see a funny comedy show, and it's at the campus right over here.
Mhm.
And as long as you're telling your truth, they're entertained. But if you were to spend the whole time going like, let me try to translate this for the young people, and I'm just like you, TikTok.
But you know what's interesting, and I mean, Chuck, you know the industry, Charlene, Juliana. I had an industry guy. We were talking about me doing my hour, and I was like, well, I was having a talk with him. I said, well, I really want to do some stuff that appeals to the millennials. He goes, no. He goes, I need to know where you are right now. He goes, where are you right now? I said, I'm a mom of a tween and a teenager. I've been married a long time, and I'm perimenopausal. He's like, that's what I want to hear about. So I think there is, I think there is a place for this. And I think,
It's about, if your concern is, I'm going to lose my millennial audience because I'm my 20-something audience, then the answer, I think, is tell your truth and find ways to be inclusive of people who don't have your viewpoint, including people of other age groups. And then you can just think about cultural backgrounds or people who grew up differently than you. And then it's a new way of refining your humor and performing it, delivering it. Because you're the only one with your truth, your story.
Right.
And therefore, the only time people can hear about this is, from you in Denver. This month is live at the Community College of Denver Recital Hall at the King Center, March 28 and 29.
Where was that again?
It is the Recital Hall at the King Center, there are seats available. It's not yet sold out like the Off-Cabot shows were. But it's on its way to being there. So don't, kid yourself. You and your friends get together and come see Mary and us. It's a very fun show, March 28, 29 at the King Center Recital Hall. And tickets are available. I'm going to put it up on the screen, I think, in some way or capacity.
Yeah, I
You
don't
can do it.
somehow.
You can do it, Chuck.
I really can. I think I'm going to do it.
Yay!
Who knew?
There it is.
Woo-woo!
Okay.
Yep. There's that.
First time, Mary Kennedy, that I've ever gotten Professor Chuck Roy, MBA on a marquee. And I gotta say, I'm gonna be a dick about it from here on out in my career. Just like
Are you gonna have that in the comedy? Is that how we're gonna have to introduce you, Chuck Roy MBA?
no. At some point, new comedians are gonna be like, just Professor Roy.
I love Professor Roy. That's awesome.
ego. So I told you probably saw our students, and I'm not surprised. I'm bragging about this. Can't believe I don't have a photo. They won the Georgia State International Business Case competition.
Yes.
First place, second place, and third place. Students from a community college whooped ass against places like Howard University.
Wow.
And other prestigious historically Black colleges and universities. It was really like a 80s movie.
Was it like Karate Kid?
Very much, because we were the underdogs, and there were snobby university students and whatnot, and a beyond diverse cast if we're gonna ever make the movie. And then like we win, which like our students read. Who knew? They read the case study. And other students showed up having not read, and we fucking swept. That's how I say it at the office. We fucking
Nice.
swept. And then one of the team, of course, couldn't win. So she was on a losing team, was really sad. It was her birthday. She's totally down. And the kids gathered around her and sang Stevie Wonder's happy birthday to her.
Aw.
And it really had to be like the Black happy birthday song. She felt totally included. It was very much, that's what makes me go like it was a 80s movie, because she was a goth kid, which was, you know, the thing in our era.
Yep.
Of all those movies, like the, you know, the left out kid. And then when they sang the song, I was just like, oh god, this is like, where's the director? This is really good.
Right.
I love it. Listen,
uh,
we need, it should be called CCD instead of Karate Kid. CCD.
right, go City Hawks. Yeah, so, and then now I'm just a total dick in the classroom, and I make people call me Professor Roy because my team won. And if they don't read, I'm just so pitiless. I'm like, yeah, that guy went to Atlanta and came back with 3 brooms. So
Yes.
why don't you read what I tell you to? Anyway, so Professor Roy is going to introduce Charlene, and then on with Mary Kennedy, March 28 and 29. And I will I look forward to seeing you all on next week. I was about to announce your travel schedule, but I don't want any of the, I don't want any of the Kennedy stalkers bagging me there. So I enjoyed talking to you, Charlene. Glad to meet you this way. And
Nice to meet you.
like an old man, I have no idea how to stop sharing the screen.
Well, and we have rehearsal, so Charlene and I are going to go rehearse on Zoom.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, break a leg or a couple of them. And thanks for joining us on the old YouTube lives and such. So to you out there, if you asked questions, by the way, it's I had no skill at looking at the comments. Just thought about it now. So
It's fine.
well, I'll email Mary your questions and we'll reply with
We'll circle back, as they say. Yeah.
Circle back.
We'll circle
all right,
back.